You're watching The Daily on Shaw TV Channel 4, and we are in the garage of local artist Rod Eenie. Now, he's preparing for his upcoming show at Art 10 Gallery. It runs August 1st through to the 31st or 30th, however many days there are in August. I can't remember the little rhyme right now, but so we're getting a sneak peek at an exhibit that's called I Am Assembled. That's coming up on this edition of The Daily. Also in the lineup, we're going to do some lawn tennis. That's our big summer installment. Terry Church in the Cowichan Valley will bring us that story. And Dan Kahn is wandering the streets of Victoria. He stumbles, probably quite literally, upon a piano and begins playing it, and people come and just start sharing their life stories. That's Piano Talk with Dan Kahn on this edition of The Daily. Kelly Robinson has some fun with fishing buddies. Her son's embarrassed, but she's very sweet. Just don't stand too close to that hook. You might get hurt. We're going to give you some summer driving tips as well, but we're starting things off with belly dancing. One of the world's oldest forms of dance is now making a comeback. Not that it ever really went anywhere, but here's Jocelyn Matwee with belly dancing. I Am Assembled is the name of the latest exhibit. We're getting a sneak peek here in Rod Enie's garage. It's going to go up in the Art 10 Gallery in just a few days. August 1st is the opening date. It's an assemblage exhibit. This is something that you do on a regular basis, but you've never actually exhibited it?
Well, I last exhibited assemblages in 1995 in Nanaimo, but I've been exhibiting them mostly up in Courtenay and Campbell River because there's a lot more artists up there that actually do assemblages, and there's not very many artists around the Central Island area that do assemblages.
Okay. And they are fun. We've been having a look. This one here, can I pick it up?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me about this one.
Well, that's a retail bell, and I can't stand retail bells. And so I took a retail bell and I filled it up full of epoxy, and I encased it, and it's silenced forever.
Can we share the backstory? You took it from...
Well, I took it from Art 10.
From Art 10 Gallery.
Nobody really protested about it because...
And it will be returned to them when the exhibit opens on August the 3rd.
It's silenced forever. It's full of epoxy. Like I filled the whole inside of the bell full of epoxy, so it doesn't ring anymore.
Well, whenever I see those bells on a countertop now, I will forever think of you, Rod. This piece, a little bit more in depth, more perhaps statements that you're making.
Well, this is a Scrabble piece, and I chose poverty as a theme. Like, some of the words are backwards, and some of them are up and down, and deficiency is like normally left to right. And
destitution, we've got poor, written backwards here, broke, need, and then these $5 bills.
And the $5 bills. They've got well-to-do people's names on them, and it's like they're playing Scrabble.
Right, so we've got Barbara on the one that we just had a close look at, and that's supposed to be?
Barbara Amiel.
Okay.
And her husband Conrad, and
Conrad Black.
And Brian and Mila, Mulrooney's. Like, what I do with Scrabble is like, I come up with anything social or historical, and I find out all the words to them, and it's kind of fun,
Now you said Rod said that originally when he was doing the Scrabble board, sex was the subject, but one big long word that he's too much of a gentleman to share with us on camera, and then he ran out of letters. So you definitely have my interest piqued. I'm going to come back to the theme on this one. Is poverty something you experience?
Well, actually, poverty is like you can actually you could actually see it in the downtown core, and more towards the south end, and actually it can be pretty well seen anywhere. And I make assemblages or art pieces, and whatever comes to mind,
Right.
I make it. I enjoy this freedom of expression that I can actually comment about things historically and socially.
Right. And it's sort of an implied ignorance here. These people are using money
Yeah.
and not putting any value to it
Yeah.
around a subject that people, to the people who are
Yeah.
destitute, this $10 is a big deal.
Oh,
And to
yeah.
them it's just scraps for notes and
And for the record, this is not real money, because if you do that to real money, you're putting the clink.
Okay. Rod, thank you. We're going to come back and continue our sneak peek with I Am Assembled on this edition of The Daily. In the meantime, we're going to head down to Victoria, the streets of downtown Victoria to be more precise. Dan Kahn is holding court at a piano. Before that, though, here is Kelly Robinson learning how to fish. You're watching The Daily on Shaw TV Channel 4. We are spending some time with local artist Rod Eenie. We're here in his garage in Nanaimo, getting a sneak peek at his upcoming exhibit that'll take place at Art 10 Gallery in August. It's called I Am Assembled. It's assemblage art. Let's start with what is assemblage and how does this piece here help define that?
Well, an assemblage is a three-dimensional collage. Back in the 1940s, Kurt Schwitters and Marcel Duchamp sort of coined the word assemblage, and assemblage kind of took off from there. And
What year was that?
In the early 1940s.
Okay, and this is an homage to?
This is an homage to Kurt Schwitters. This is if Kurt Schwitters and Stanley Kubrick worked on a project together, and what this is I call it Kurt Schwitters and Stanley Kubrick's Spartacus, because if they worked on Spartacus together, and it's somebody gave me this bronze sword, and it is actually bronze, and I have Kurt Douglas here, and you can see the little the little dimple in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like a hodgepodge of different things put together.
Okay.
And that's the whole thing about assemblages. Like, it could be something that you've got in your house, or something that you found on the road, like things that I find on the road, like this lumina. Imagine like what you could do with that. It'll eventually be a part of an assemblage in the future.
And you just kind of creatively stew on it for a little while, and the vision comes as it's being created?
It eventually comes. Yes,
Okay.
it does. It's really quite amazing,
I'll
actually.
put this out of the way. I'm finding this all fascinating. Can you step us through one of these? I'll put it over here.
Oh, okay.
You go ahead. Talk to Todd.
So anyways, like these are a couple of older pieces. I'm showing maybe 2 or 3 older pieces, and the rest are going to be newer ones, but I want to show where I came from. And my earlier assemblages had lots of models in them. I talked about things that were contemporary as well as in the past.
Okay.
And very social oriented. Like this one is like a paper mache made up of African faces, tribal faces, and a colonial airplane that has crashed in the sea of African faces. And it's like the European colonies could, with their 20th century technology, could not stop the freedom of Africans. Mm-hmm. Like eventually they had to get out of Africa. And that's what's represented by this piece, because you have such few Europeans with their technology, and they are overwhelmed by the masses.
Right. This one.
This one.
What's the title on this one?
Broadway Boogie Blitzkrieg, and it's kind of a pun on Mondrian's painting Broadway Boogie Woogie. Mondrian.
Now, I don't know who Mondrian.
He was a Dutch abstract artist.
Okay.
And that little print in the background behind that airplane, that is a print of Broadway Boogie Woogie, and he had these simplified abstract pieces of cities, and he was in the safety of New York in 1940, and he was painting these abstracts like Broadway Boogie Woogie.
I'm getting a history lesson. Thank you. It's fabulous. Through art, history through art. I love it.
But the Nazis were bombing his hometown, and it seems kind of an irony that he's doing abstract paintings of cities.
Right.
And
of people celebrating party, sort of escaping from the horrible.
Yeah. But Air Marshal Goering was blowing up European cities like crazy.
Okay. So what's happening downstairs then?
Well, downstairs, that is more modern. What's happening nowadays, you've got a Tyrannosaurus Rex figurine there, and I've painted it up like a Nazi armband simply because after the Berlin Wall fell, in East Germany, Nazism became very popular again during the 1990s and up to this day. And so it's like an extinct animal, like the Tyrannosaurus Rex is supposed to be extinct. Nazism is supposed to be extinct. But he's in this cage and his little tail's coming out of the cage. And there's this whole theater of empty seats. It's like a world that's not really seeing all this happen. And there really wasn't much of a concern at first that all these skinheads in Eastern Europe were on the march.
Escaping, coming out.
Yeah, they were coming out. They were
rising.
Rediscovering their racist past. And there's all kinds of classical images of war, like this little frieze here of the 100 Years' War that was between Catholics and Protestants in Europe, and it was devastating back in the 1500s.
Always a little bit of humor from you, Rod?
Yeah.
This guy's skirt up
Oh,
there.
yeah, he's like a... Well, the ancient Greek warriors, they never had proper coverage when they went into battle.
Rod, thank you so much. Good luck with your show. I know we're just getting started. If you want to hear more, he's a huge source of information, loves to share the stories, very fascinating stuff. You can catch him at Art 10 Gallery. He will be there on August 11th, August 18th, and August 25th. Those are all Saturdays, and the exhibit itself goes up on August 1st, runs through for the entire month. We've only looked at a couple of the pieces that will be on display there. It's at Nanaimo Northtown Center. We're going to throw things over now to the Cowichan Tennis Club. Now, they are the only tennis club in Canada that are still playing the game on grass. Here's Terry Church. That brings us to the end of this edition of The Daily. It's always very, very interesting spending time with Rod Coriini. You can catch him at Art 10 Gallery. His exhibit goes up there August 1st, runs through for the entire month of August. As mentioned earlier, you can visit him. He will be there in person on 3 consecutive Saturdays. That's August 11th, August 18th, and August the 25th. What's going on elsewhere in the world of arts and culture? Tom Wilson from Blackie and the Rodeo Kings are doing a last-minute show at the Diners Rendezvous. That's August the 4th. You can get tickets in advance, save a little bit of money, or pick them up at the door. It's an 8 o'clock show. Once again, thank you very much for watching The Daily. You can always drop us a line if you have comments or feedback about the program, or if you'd like to be featured as our guest location and interview. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.